The Golden Order. Hello, people watching the VOD. You're probably here to watch the VOD. Well, I have fantastic news. I know you're here. Ladies and gentlemen, your boy has begun the Elden Ring lore dive. Now, you know me, Lord Nuxanor, consumer of all lore. I am the great serpent, except instead of voring people, I vor lore. And today, we're diving deeper into the lore of Elden Ring. We're doing Vtube videos, Elden Ring Demigods Explained. We're diving into the nitty-gritty details of every single demigod and his godforsaken lands between. We are not talking about outer will, cosmic horror, Lovecraft, freaking terrifying shiz. I'm so glad we did the Lovecraft deep dive before we did Elden Ring, but let's see what we got, baby. All right, every Elden Ring demigod. I don't know any of their lore per se, aside from what I gleaned from the actual games, which was somehow not so much. All I know is that Ranni is best girl and Melania is best girl, and Radahn is the coolest character in all of Elden Ring. I'm gonna say by that.
The demigods
Yeah!
are each and all the direct offspring of Queen Marika.
Yeah!
There was Godwyn.
Wait, what? Except for the ones that are the child of Radagon and Lunala, unless Radagon was always Marika. Okay, all right. We're gonna go with that. We're gonna go with that. I know that this isn't a complete this isn't necessarily canon. This is kind of Lord Nuxanor's, you know, thought child. I do think Marika and Radagon were always one. And it was due to their different ways to exacerbate the Golden Order and different ways to titillate it, to stroke off the Golden Order. They were represented in different ways. Causality was represented by Marika and regression was represented by Radagon. I'm going with that as my headcanon for now. I know that that's not actual canon yet, but I do think that names and destiny are very linked to characters and their forms in Elden Ring. So let's see what we got.
Morgott, Mohg, Radahn, Rykard,
There they are.
Ranni,
Yeah.
Miquella, and Melania.
Yeah. No, I gotta shout like PTSD flashbacks every single time. Every single time.
Blade of Miquella, Melania, Blade of Miquella,
Yeah, the Blade of
and
Miquella.
Melania. Not again. All of these demigods had fallen from grace by the time the shattering occurred. But in this video, I want to mostly talk about the origins of these characters.
Let's go, dude. The origins. Because this I have no idea. All I know is fighting all of them in the actual video game. I know zip all, jack all about their backstories and pasts. Aside from the fact that probably none of them brushed their teeth.
Who these demigods were before the fall.
I'm ready.
And some of these demigods fell a long way indeed.
Ah, shit. He turned into a fucking mermaid. Dude. This this is what Disney's Little Mermaid adaptation was supposed to be. What it was supposed to be and what we actually got. Am I right? All right, let's go.
Before he became this unsightly mess, Godwyn the
we're starting with Godwyn. Okay.
Golden was quite the heroic figure.
Literally the only nice guy in all of Elden Ring dies before the story starts. Let's freaking go.
He was born of the promising union between Lord Godfrey and Queen Marika.
I love how he says promising union. The promising union.
Yeah, she ends up NTRing the shit out of poor Godfrey.
Yeah, the promising union. This will definitely go well.
And he achieved great renown for his bravery in one of their wars, at least.
Alright.
The War of the Ancient Dragons. This war began...
That's why there are dragons all over the city. All right, I guess that explains it, right? There are dragons, corpses, and everything. That was an age before Marika, I guess.
When Grandsax, a great ancient dragon, rained calamity.
Dude, what is with George R.R. Martin writing lore for stories where dragons are like the centerpieces to the lore, but they're already mostly dead? He's like, all right, I'm gonna walk right into Game of Thrones, a story about dragons. Okay, so they're all extinct except for 3. Then he walks into Elden Ring. All right, a story of dragons after they were mostly wiped out.
Down upon Leyndell, marking the only time in historical record that Leyndell's walls had fallen. It's not clear why Grandsax first attacked, but fortifying themselves against lightning, the Knights of the Erd Tree weathered his assault, and Grandsax was defeated.
That's why they're all lightning knights. That's why they all shoot lightning, because they had to train in lightning abilities to survive the dragon's onslaught. Oh my fucking god, the lore is so good.
However, this was only the beginning, and a bitter war against the ancient dragons was to follow. During this war, the Erd Tree Sentinels had an epiphany that...
Oh my god, that's why the Tree Sentinels become the Draconic Tree Sentinels.
The
And
only
they
way
shoot red
to
lightning.
truly protect the Erd Tree was to become dragons themselves. And so, despoiling the corpses of their foes...
Despoiling the corpses of their foes? You fuck one corpse and you're always remembered as a corpse despoiler. Come on, guys.
The grotesque sentinels served the Erd Tree, but fought with the claws of the enemy instead.
Damn.
In the end, the ancient dragons were routed once again. In a graveyard of swords by the Stormcaller Church, the end of the
Is that a Berserk reference?
war is commemorated. Here, we learn that during battle, Godwyn the Golden defeated Fortisax, called the mightiest dragon of them all.
Wait, Fortisax was called a mightier dragon than Placidusax? Placidusax was the king of the dragons, right? Fortisax is the one that you fight down in the depths.
However, he did not kill Fortisax. Instead, he befriended him.
Aww.
And it was in this act that the powers of the ancient dragons truly became a part of Leyndell.
How do you befriend them? You wiped them all out! It's like, oh, I befriended Fortisax. I killed all of his children, but it was cool.
After all, only those loved by dragons can survive the ordeal of cladding their bodies in lightning. So,
Alright.
from an unlikely friendship, an ancient dragon cult was born in the capital city, and the Knights of Leyndell learned to worship the dragons and wield their lightning.
Hell yeah.
Lanciax, sister of Fortisax, even took human form to better commune with the...
What? Bro, this is a plot straight out of Bad Dragon. What is going on here? This plot was literally written by a furry. Like, I will not hear anything else. There's a reason why dragons have 400,000 entries on Rule 34.
Knights. It was officially decided that the worship of the ancient dragons did not conflict with belief in the Erd Tree, and it was all thanks to Godwyn.
Wait a second. If believing in the ancient dragons does not conflict with the Erd Tree, and the Erd Tree is an embodiment of the greater will, which is the embodiment of order that is existing in this world and the lands between. Wait a second! If worshiping the dragons doesn't count as worshiping a different god, like the Fell god of the giants or the Rot god of Melania, does that mean that Placidusax was an Elden Lord? Well, I mean, Godfrey is called the first Elden Lord, so I guess he wasn't known as an Elden Lord, but he did have that position at some point before the ancient dragons were wiped out. That's crazy.
Commander of the Dragon's Golden Lightning, and a true child of the Golden lineage.
All right, and he was a really nice guy until he was killed, literally in the prequel. Let's go. Opening cutscene. We killed the one nice demigod. Let's go. And all the other demigods, they are all fucked up, bro. Every single one of them. But what about Ronnie? All right, dude.
But now, let's talk about Morgott and Mohg, the Omen twins, who were also born of Godfrey and
Is
Marika's
he gonna explain why they have fell omens? Why there's like a second Margott and a second Mohg in the sewers? Is he gonna explain that shit? Because that made no sense to me.
Golden lineage. First, what is an omen? Well, to put it simply, an omen is an accursed child, seen as impure, as they are born with horns on the body and face.
Dude, he is literally wearing like a cum rag, okay? Like, you're gonna tell me that he's impure because of his horns? Not the fact that he is literally wearing this shit all over?
Seen as impure, as they are born with horns on the body and face. When this happens,
that's why they're called omens. All the omens are the ones with the horns.
the correct thing to do, culturally at least, is to cut off the horns of the omen, an act which usually causes them to perish.
What? Wait. It ain't a Nux stream without references to racism.
Be messed up.
Oh,
But
God.
some omen do survive this process, and some omen are even given a cleaver, crafted specifically for them and awarded as a tool of war. Although these weapons
Is that why the omens that you find on the outside are the ones with the horns cut off, but the omens that you find in the sewers are the ones that the horns were not cut off? Because it is considered socially acceptable to cut the horns off. So, the ones that you see on the outside world, well, those guys, they're socially accepted omens. Not like these guys. These guys didn't cut their horns off. So these guys stay in the sewers where their wretched race belong. Yeah, God, I don't know, man. My inner Warhammer is coming out. I want to purge the heretics right now.
are bestowed with a readiness to take them away. We find one such omen in an Erd Tree camp upon the Altus Plateau. Before you fight it, you might have
Dude, I thought these were like big fucking warts. I didn't realize they were horns that were cut off.
noticed another omen nearby, writhing in its sleep. It's said that omens see evil spirits in their nightmares, and I think this omen is dreaming, haunted by the vengeful spirits of its accursed kin.
So what is this omen curse? Where did it come from? Like, why did this start affecting people? Especially demigods, like Morgott and Mohg. They were demigods. Why were they affected by this omen curse?
This brings us to the Omen Killers, who are horrifying butchers of twisted conscience. They wear these horned masks that make a mockery of the Omen's nightmares, and these butchers hunt the Omen.
No way! Oh my god! This is actual legal racial prosecution. What is going on? What the hell, bro? These guys are messed up! Dude, they actually just walk around and like, all right, dude, we're gonna wipe out a couple of Xenos.
Amputate their horns.
Goddamn.
The first Omen killer was named Rollo, a famous perfumer who had to imbibe a physic to rid himself of emotion so that he could better perform his tasks.
Dude, this is literal blackface. Like, they wear Omen masks to murder all these guys. Holy shit.
Remember,
That's horrifying.
it seems many Omen have their horns.
And it's socially accepted somehow, too, which is even scarier. Dude, this is what extreme order looks like. Oh, good, it's America's golden order. Order is so based. Isn't order based? Order is not based. Order is another extreme. Don't believe in extremes. You need a balance, baby.
Horns excised when they're very young. That's definitely disturbing enough to warrant an emotion-killing physic in my book.
Yeah.
However, if the Omen is born of royalty, then their horns are not cut off, but the Omen is kept underground,
my God.
unbeknownst to anyone, and imprisoned for eternity.
That is so fucked up. Holy shit. They put them in the sewers.
By way of example, you would have seen all kinds of Omen confined to the sewers beneath Leyndell.
They ugly.
But why are Omen considered to be accursed in the first place?
All right, great
Some of them are
question.
clearly intelligent, so what's inherently wrong with being born with horns and great strength? Well, it's important to remember, I think, that this curse might only really exist in the context of the Golden Order. After all, those afflicted with Omen horns are not able to return to the Erd Tree for rebirth.
What? So in this Marika the Eternal Glorious Age where no death lasts and anyone that dies is reincarnated, the Omens don't get reincarnated? What is the Omen curse? Why do they get cursed though?
And are said to be born outside of its grace. But why does the Golden Order disavow the Omen?
So this is like society if God was racist. Holy shit.
Well, it's hard to say for sure, but my working theory is that it's to do with the Crucible. According to this ancient incantation, horns were once an aspect of the Erd Tree's primordial crucible, where all life was once blended together.
Right, this is the original tree before the current Erd Tree took over. So the Omen horns are kind of a representation of a previous order before the Golden Order. And as we know, every order, every ideology, every really powerful non-human governing entity that appears in the world of Elden Ring is somehow an agent of an outer god. So somehow this old tree here that was worshipped by the Crucible, this old ass tree was another outer god. So anyone that's born with this Omen curse, these horns and shit, they are somehow connected to a rival outer god. So the current Golden Order needs to wipe them out to keep their current order as the only order. Okay, that's a very, very huge logical reasoning.
With the exception of a couple of Crucible Knights in and around Leyndell, we know that the Golden Order has started to distance itself from most things that touch upon the Crucible. While things like horns, knots, feathers, and scales once grew on the human body and were considered signifiers of the divine, now they are disdained as impurities as civilization has advanced.
More than civilization advanced, we currently live in a world touched by a different outer god as the governing entity. And anything that supports a previous or archaic lifestyle is more than just that. But they are literally becoming attuned to a different outer god and need to be excised like a tumor in order to keep the purity of the current order. That's fucked up. Because, shit, this really is a Lovecraft horror. It's crazy.
We learn this from the knot, scale, and feather talismans, all of which are guarded by Omen, or dropped by Omen killers, no less. Unfortunately for the Order of the Erd Tree, these once divine impurities seem to crop up in some births, whether they like it or not. Almost like...
I guess it's the old outer god still somehow trying to claw into modern life, trying to claw back into a current order that has been created by a new outer god. And it does that by giving horns to children, which obviously turns them into rejects by society.
Like it's a genetic trait, as if it touches upon the Crucible at the root of the Erd Tree. And so you have to ask, is it really a curse to be born as a graceless omen? Well, as with most curses in these games, I think that depends on your perspective.
True.
In any case,
If you're an order whore, if you're a whore to order and rules and laws, cringe, I know. If you believe in paying your taxes, well then yeah, you probably hate the whole Moog freaking omen shit, sure. But if you believe in freedom, if you're a true anarchist, well, maybe not.
Moog and Morgoth were omen royalty, and thus they were born into a wretched mire far below the earth, horns and all. Here, they were kept under the strictest confinement. Each of them were bound with charmed shackles that were...
Oh, that's why they have the shackles, okay.
...covered in roots or thorns and bathed in golden magic. It seems very few people were supposed to know that they even existed. Morgoth, for his part, renounced and despised his accursed omen blood, but his brother Moog embraced it.
That's so cool. So he, Morgoth, actually loyal to the current Golden Order, he recognizes the value of this order and therefore says, I truly am born a lesser being. Holy shit. He's actually just a self-hating omen. Reverend Father Uncle Ruckus, the Elden Ring character.
Despised his accursed omen blood.
And then you have someone like
But his
Moog, who's like, no, I was born the way I was born. I just don't subscribe to your idea of a golden order. I'll find my own order. I'll found my own dynasty.
The Moog embraced it.
That's so
Deep
cool.
underground, Moog stood before an outer god, a being called...
Can't spell Moog Lester without Moog.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
All right, I'll see myself out.
the formless mother who craves wounds, a being capable of bestowing power upon accursed blood. In this moment, Moog's accursed blood erupted with fire, and he became besotted with the defilement that he was born into.
So Moog technically is another agent of an outer god, a different outer god, this formless mother, or the blood god, or whatever the fuck you want to call it. Here you have two more extremes. You have Morgoth, self-hate, and you have, this guy, extreme narcissistic ego. Moog, who believes that he could become an Imperium of a new god. No! That's why he kidnapped Miquella. Miquella's the Empyrean. He kidnapped Miquella to become a vessel for the blood god, and he was gonna become his consort, just like Radagon or Godfrey was the consort to what's-her-face? Eternal Lady. Oh my god. That was his plan. Launch a new order.
Here, deep below the earth,
An order where, people just aren't racist towards omens, where you aren't hated for your accursed blood. Like, that actually puts his whole spiel into perspective on such an insane level. Like, what an actual well-written character.
he would go on to build a dynasty of blood in reverence of a mother, something it seems he never truly had. As for more,
True. His mother locked him in the sewers because he was born with accursed blood. Holy shit, dude. This is the Nazi that his child is born with brown eyes instead of blue eyes, and he's like, we put him in the sewers. We put him in the sewers. We make believe we never had him. And then, he wonders why he had daddy issues.
Morgoth, he was
Magneto was right all along.
born into the same accursed fate as his twin brother, but despite not being blessed with grace, he loved the Erd Tree all the same, and even took it upon himself to crawl out of the sewers and become the Erd
And he just thinks less of himself. That's so fucked up.
Tree's protector when the Erd Tree needed him most.
Dude, this whole world is really just a playground for these eldritch gods fighting with each other, and the casualties are everyone just living their everyday life. I mean, I love eldritch horror, I love Lovecraft horror, the whole cosmic gods fighting over shit, and we just are somehow caught in between, because ultimately, how many of your choices are really your own choices? You're born somewhere, you're living somewhere, your decisions are not your own, big fucking companies are telling you how to live your life and what to do, your decisions are not your own, you're caught in the middle of wars and battles and political bullshit that you have no part in, and you have no ultimate decision as to where the future of the world goes and where the whims and winds of fancy take you. Like, you live in a cosmic horror, except the characters are a lot more real.
In the end, he rightfully became the Omen King and Lord of Leyndell. Omen or not,
Crazy. He was the most loyal son. Despite the fact that he was hated, he was discarded, he remained as the one loyal son. Rykard, Radahn, Ranni, Melania, Miquella, they all left. They all ditched for their own ideals. Morgoth alone remained loyal, despite the fact that his own mother cast him aside as a freak.
he was, after all, born of Godfrey and Marika's golden
Tragic character.
lineage. Of course, the marriage between Godfrey and Marika would be ended, and before long, Marika remarried with another man, a champion named Radigan.
Now this is self-love, ladies and gentlemen. This marriage is what they call masturbation.
Who Marika calls her other half. He became
Literally, some might even say.
second Elden Lord and the king consort, but he
Dude, imagine NTRing your husband because you'd rather just fuck yourself. God damn, that's dark. Sorry, Godfrey. I have someone else in mind. It's my right hand.
also brought with him 3 children from a previous marriage that he had had with a Carrion queen named Renala. These children were Rani,
Rykard, and Radahn. It's the R's. They have such a cute naming scheme, right? It's Moog and Morgoth, the Omen twins. Godfrey, the dad of Godwyn. And then you got Renala's kids are Rani, Rykard, Radahn. And then Marika's kids are Melania and Mikola. That's a really cute naming scheme. I never noticed that.
and they all became Demigod stepchildren after Radigan's reunion with
Masturbation, self-fuck, as they call it.
Queen Marika. Possessed of his
Radahn is the coolest character, for sure. For sure. Dude is actually just the coolest dude. Best boy, for sure. Holy shit, I love Radahn.
father's flaming red hair, Radahn was fond of its heroic implications and considered himself to be born of a great champion.
Yeah!
Yet he also looked up to another man, Godfrey, the
What?
first Elden Lord.
His stepdad, his mom's, wait, what is their relationship? His dad's wife's first husband was his icon. That is so badass.
Queen Marika's first husband and the Lord of the Battlefield. But Radahn wasn't just the son of Radigan and an aspiring Lord of the Battlefield, he was also the son of Renala, who was
Yeah.
head of the Academy of Raya Lucaria
And he uses all his gravity magic.
and Queen of Caria. So as a Carian royal, inclined towards sorcery, Radahn bent his will towards mastering gravitational magics. Rock sling, gravity well, collapsing stars. These techniques were taught to him in Celia, the town of sorcery.
Oh, that's why the town of sorcery is right next to the Ionian swamp.
All so he would never have to abandon his beloved but
I love this lore. This lore I was familiar with. People told me about this. He learned gravity magic so he wouldn't squash his teeny little horse. How wholesome is that, dude?
steed. That said, before
His
long,
noble steed. Look at him. Look at his noble steed. God damn, that's a good boy.
his powers would be put towards a more
Look at this teeny little horse. Fucking Radahn.
cosmic purpose than simply allowing him to ride his own horse. Radahn was taught gravitational magic by an alabaster lord, a
What?
member of a race of ancients with skin of stone who was said to have risen to life when a meteor struck long ago. And when his lessons were complete, Radahn uttered these chilling words.
Thank you for your tutelage. For now, I can challenge the stars.
Wait, what? Wait, what? So helping his horse live, Juan the horse, helping him live, that was part of it. But also, it was always his plan to halt the stars. Right? That's why you need to kill Radahn in order for the meteor to hit Limgrave and continue Rani's quest line. But I have no idea why he wanted to halt the stars.
And of course, he did conquer the stars, and the very constellations would be halted by his strength.
Dude, how cool of a character is this? You are fighting Radahn. He is an insanely difficult boss. They literally give you an army of summons that you could take to fight this guy. It's a festival to fight Radahn. And this absolute Giga Chad fights you while using gravity magic to not crush his horse, while holding back every star in the sky, stopping meteors from striking the lands between. He is facing you, and he is deranged and being eaten alive by a sentient rot god. And he's dude, that is the ultimate Giga Chad. Oh my god.
But of course, you kind of have to ask, why? Why was it necessary to conquer the stars
No idea.
in the first place?
Biggest flex in anime? Dude, biggest flex in anime, bro. Oh my god. Oh, it's just me holding back the stars and myself off the horse and fucking...
Well, I have a couple of theories. Theory one is that it was done in self-defense. After all, according to the sword gravestone, Radahn was protecting Celia. What's more, gravitational magic has destructive power, and many gravitational beasts are proof of that destructive power. A being named Astel had even come down to the lands between in the past and destroyed a place called the Eternal City.
Oh shit, what is up with all the Eternal Cities? Alright, I'm sure he has a whole other lore video on just the Eternal Cities.
What's more, Celians are descendants of the Eternal, positioned right above the Eternal City underground.
Oh, that's cool.
So there
Didn't
is an
notice that.
argument to be made for Radahn purely defending Celia.
Wait, was the meteor that was coming supposed to hit Celia? So he was holding it back from wiping out this city? He was protecting this city all along?
For some reason here. But it's possible for Radahn to have fought in this conflict and to have made the first move as well. So this is theory 2, that Radahn conquered the stars as a preventative measure in service to the greater will. According to a set of astrologer items, the night sky cradles fate. There's even a banished sect of people called the Nox, who...
Ah! The Nux! A banished sect of people! Oh my god, they're literally me.
Live deep below the earth in eternal anticipation of the coming age of stars and their Lord of Night.
Oh shit. The Rani quest.
Long ago, these people invoked the ire of the greater will, so it would make sense.
So it is very heavily implied that these the stars are also some sort of outer god trying to get their fucking claws into the world of the lands between. Doesn't that kind of feel like what's going on here? So holding back the stars is preventing fate, the fate of this age of stars, from taking over the Golden Order, from expunging the greater will as the current governing force. Is Radahn holding back an outer god while fighting you? Holy shit.
That those in service to the greater will might have sought to arrest the stars and put an end to this fate. What's more, Radahn was just a huge fanboy of Godfrey.
Yeah!
And he seems to have more loyalty to the Erd Tree than to the moon. Finally, the telescope item description says that the fate once writ in the night skies had been fettered by the Golden Order. So surely this is referencing
Radahn of the Golden Order that literally halted the stars.
actions,
And this is while he's insane. Like, while he went crazy because rot ate out his insides.
levels the blame at the
And
Golden
he became a, you know, just rampaging cannibal. Oh my god, it's not a Nux stream without cannibalism, am I right, guys?
Order.
Oh god,
But
every time.
putting Radahn's motivations aside, it's a fact that the stars were held back and that this had great consequences for many, especially for the rest of his Carrion royal family.
Let me explain. The fate of the Carrion royal family is guided by the stars, as is the fate of Lady Rani, first heir in the Carrion royal line. But General Radahn is the conqueror of the stars, who stood up to the swirling constellations, halting their movement in a smashing victory. And so, if General Radahn were defeated, the stars would once again resume their movement.
I cannot believe dude was single-handedly holding back the stars. Ronnie's entire destiny could not move forward because this one absolute fucking Giga Chad halted the stars in the sky.
As would Lady Rani's destiny.
Damn.
Lunar Princess.
Oh, I guess we're moving into Lunar Princess Rani. Dude, Radahn, I'm telling you, I love that guy. Just the ultimate Giga Chad. Holy crap, what a fantastic character.
Rani was the daughter of Radagon and Renala, and sister to Radahn. Interestingly, if you look at her true body atop the Divine Tower, it looks like she might have also inherited the red hair of Radagon. Cool detail.
That's a cool detail, I never noticed that.
But unlike her brother, Radahn, she quite clearly took after her mother more, who was Renala, head of the Carrion royal family. The House of Caria has this storied history, one that seems to go way back to the astrologers. In the Carrion Manor, we find one of their treasures, the Sword of Night and Flame.
I used that my first playthrough of Elden Ring. I used the Sword of Night and Flame. That's pretty awesome. Damn, let's go.
It reads, astrologers who preceded the sorcerers established themselves in mountaintops that nearly touched the sky and considered the fire giants their neighbors. Renala herself was an astrologer, always chasing the stars in her youth. Then she met the full moon, and in time, the astrologer became a queen, establishing the House of Caria as royalty.
Damn.
Lucaria appears to have a matriarchal hierarchy with multiple princesses and carrier knights that's...
Now that there is diversity in gaming, ladies and gentlemen. Sweet Baby Ink not detected. Let's freaking go, boys.
...serve as their...
Moon mommy out there kicking butt and taking names. Dude, Ronnie is such a cool character. Ronnie was like best girl my entire first playthrough of Elden Ring. Like easily like one of the coolest characters for sure. And then after I thought about it after, isn't she kind of like a utilitarianistic, manipulative bitch? Like she twists a lot of shit and causes a lot of strife to get her order in order, right? Like if you think about it. I don't know. Anyway, woman moment, I guess. Am I right? That was a joke. It was a joke. Don't cancel me.
...retainers. Now, however, there is only one princess, Rani, daughter of Renala. And at the time of her birth, she would have been set to inherit quite a lot of power indeed, for the Carian royal family was at its height, and her mother was not only queen, she was also head of the Academy of Raya Lucaria, having bewitched them with the enchanting power of the full moon.
Let's go, baby. Separation of church and state, my ass cheeks. Not only was she the princess, but she was also the leader of the magic school. That's what it's all about, baby. Nepotism at its finest.
Leading the young Rani by the hand, Renala guided her daughter to a meeting with a moon of her own. What Rani beheld was cold,
The
dark,
moon?
and veiled in occult mystery.
Is that why she uses dark moon sorceries? Is it actually a different moon? What?
A dark moon, a sort of twin to Renala's own full moon. You can even see both of these hanging in the sky.
I never noticed that. That's so cool. So wait, so all the heavenly bodies in the lands between are actual gods. They are actual entities with power and wills of their own. The greater will is probably just some alien force, right? Just like the moon or the dark moon or the stars are actually living sentient entities on some level. That is so cool. Dude, the world building is insane.
If you stargaze from the heights of the Moonlight Plateau. Another who guided Rani was a character called the Snowy Crone, who the young Rani encountered deep in the woods. When you look at Rani, it's actually the likeness of this snow witch that you're seeing, as the doll that now houses Rani's soul.
This isn't what she actually looks like?
Was modeled after her, probably as a sign of respect. Clearly, Rani looked up to this mysterious woman. She became Rani's secret mentor, and she even knew about the Dark Moon, teaching the young Rani to fear it as she imparted her cold sorceries. So, what do these moons represent? It's
Great
just
question.
a theory, but I think the moons kind of act as guides. The lost black moon of
Alright.
Noxtella, for example.
I feel like it's more likely, so in a lot of very old scripture and literature, maybe I'm just saying this because I'm a little bit biased to references to, you know, different religious texts. The different planets and the different constellations and all that shit, like they actually held some sort of power. Like there was in a lot of different writings, Maimonides talked about this, like a lot of ancient philosophers and religious works talk about how there is actually some sort of sentient force behind this celestial bodies. Like not just that they're guides, like you could predict shit in the stars, but also the stars actively do affect destiny, and they are actually sentient on their own level. That's just really interesting. So I don't know, I'm more inclined to believe it's something than that.
Example was the guide of countless stars. What's more, Rani and Renala were heavily influenced by their moons. Renala's moon bewitched the academy that she became the head of, and Rani's dark moon, for its part, also imparts wisdom and leads a voyage
Yeah, but I think it's more than just it exists and you can see wisdom in the moon. I think the moon is sentient, just like the stars somehow seem to be sentient in this way. They seem to be some sort of outer god, like some governing force, the same way the formless mother is, or the greater will is. I feel like they also have some sort of cosmic power. I don't think they're just physical entities that you could just look at and be like, oh shit, it's the future.
The age of stars ending. They could even be outer gods.
Yes, bro. Yes, exactly. Huh. Yes, that's what I'm saying. Because when you do the Age of Stars ending in Elden Ring and you do the whole Rani quest and everything, you are replacing the greater will, right? You're replacing the greater will with currently an Age of Stars, a different governing outer god that becomes the prime governing force of the Lands Between. The Lands Between is a battleground of cosmic entities, and the different endings in Elden Ring seem to really be just attributing the current rule of the Lands Between to one of these entities. Because ultimately, who are we but nothings? Little nihilistic bitches that have no control of our own.
Yet, for all of this guidance,
The moon in many cultures represents feminine powers of magic and creation. The moon represents the feminine in almost every old culture and religion. Everything from Judaism to Hinduism, it's always been represented as the feminine, and the sun is the masculine. That's why the moon is a reflection of the sun's light. Like, it's the acceptor per se, and the sun is the giver. Just like, you know how a guy is the giver of seed to his wife, the acceptor of the seed, right? So that's the representation between these astral bodies. Even in alchemy, the moon is considered the acceptor and the feminine. So, I mean, I guess it's kind of iconic and fits really nicely that the ones that worship the moon are Ranni and Rennala. Dude, I love this story. I can't believe there's so much in Elden Ring.
Caria and Leonia as a whole have experienced steep decline. Radagon betrayed the House of the Moon. Radahn locked the...
Listen, they call me Lord Nuxanor for a reason. I will consume all lore. Video game lore, ancient mythology, religion lore. I'm here for all of it.
Stars out of motion. The Academy town is flooded to the north. Caria has been ruined in the west, and the stars and moon have gone their separate ways. Nevertheless, Ranni, last princess of Caria, remains, carefully setting new plans into motion.
Yeah, you don't say. She killed Godwyn, the only good guy. She caused the Black Knife thing. She sends the entire world into disarray so that her governing force, the force of the stars, could be given action. How insane is that, bro?
Sibling to Ranni and Radahn was a man named Rykard, who was lord of the Volcano Manor.
This greedy fucker.
There is evidence that Rykard was friendly with his siblings. He conspired with his sister Ranni later on.
Wait, what?
And
I didn't know that.
there's even a portrait of Radahn hung in the Volcano Manor, as well as a portrait of Rykard himself
Makes sense.
before the fall.
Makes sense.
Item descriptions mark Rykard as stern, ambitious, heroic, and blasphemous. A part of this blasphemy was opposing the Erd Tree, which actually drew many knights to his banner, for Rykard believed in taking by force.
Yeah! Bro was like, dude, the Erd Tree's order is not enough. We gotta go even harder, bro.
Just as the gods did, and clearly many
And then he went the freaking Orochimaru Voldemort path and fed himself to a fucking snake.
believed that he would usher in a new age. The armor set of the Gelmir Knights reveals to us what were once very loyal soldiers. The crest of red feathers are there to symbolize Rykard's pedigree as Lord Radagon's son, and the emblem upon their chest piece represents a lord who had lofty ambitions. However, as Rykard delved into the ancient secrets of Mount Gelmir, he came across the immortal Great Serpent, an ancient deity that aligned with Rykard's ambitions. And so, Rykard fed himself to the Great Serpent
that's our
so that
boy.
he might devour, grow, and live eternally.
You will devour the very gods together.
Yeah, but one thing that I wonder, though, is Praetor Rykard, this Great Serpent, is it an outer god, or is it just some other god, like a dragon god that's sleeping in the earth? I don't know. For me, that came kind of out of nowhere. It's like, surprise! He let himself get consumed by the Great Serpent! And I was just like, what? Wait, well, huh? Where did that come from?
Alas, this was too much for his knights, and they believed that their master's heroic ambitions had degenerated into...
That's it, baby. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. It started off with him wanting to bring people to a new age, but he got all powerful, and he got all greedy, and he got all power hungry, and he fucking got taken over, baby.
mere greed. So they searched desperately for a weapon with which they might halt their lord, and they found it too. The immortal serpent had lived for a long time, and so there was also a weapon.
Wait, so this weapon is not from a previous person that tried to kill the snake? It's from his own subjects that realized he got consumed by greed and also a big fucking snake?
To kill it that had been designed
Being Vord is when the knights drew the line. Murdering innocent people to further his conquest? Alright, whatever. Vord by a snake?
long ago as well, a serpent hunter. But it was too late. As the Lord lost his dignity, so too did the knights lose their master.
Goddamn.
Not that it bothered Rykard.
Now we can devour together.
Dude, I love the way he says that.
Next, we need to discuss Millennia and Mikola.
All right.
These two were twins as they were born. No,
No, don't know.
Rykard, please. Anyway,
Rykard, get the fuck out of here, bro. Stick with your snake gussy, okay? God, dude.
as you know, Radagon's marriage with Renala did not last.
No, sir.
Afterwards, he returned to the Golden Order and became Queen Mary.
Well, I would argue he was always part of the Golden Order. Because as we remember, Liurnia, from the timeline lore dive on Elden Ring, when Marika started the Golden Order, she decided, all right, guys, it's time to wipe out anyone that doesn't kneel to the Golden Order. So she, massacres the giants, and she massacres everyone that doesn't agree with the Golden Order, and she locks people underground, and she fucking, does her classic racism Golden Order shenanigans, Classic order, am I right, guys? Don't we love order in this house? There's some order in this house. There's some order in this house. All right. We're not going to sing Wet Ass Pussy on this stream today. But the point is, hilariously, they were not able to beat Liurnia. They couldn't conquer Liurnia because the magic was too strong. So they sent in Radagon to seduce her. At least that's my headcanon. So I think he was probably always working with the Golden Order.
As consort. But what I haven't yet mentioned is that together they were blessed
I'm sorry.
with two demigod children,
Let's
the
go.
so-called twin prodigies. Now, in the last lore video, I briefly proposed that these two twins were born after the Shattering, after Radagon and Marika had merged together to become a single god. However, I've since changed my mind. I think Millennia and Mikola were clearly born before the Shattering. There's just so much proof.
I mean, that makes sense, honestly. Especially because they each got great runes, right? If they each got great runes, then obviously it had to be before it was shattered.
That these two twins were a force that were influencing the world long before the Shattering took place.
Okay.
Anyway, both of these twins were born afflicted. Specifically, in the Japanese text, it's said that their births were vulnerable. Mikola was born afflicted with eternal youth, and Millennia, for her part, was vulnerable to rot. Interestingly, Millennia's scarlet rot
Vulnerable to rot. I feel like the Scarlet Rot is it already canon that the Scarlet Rod is actually an outer god that managed to take hold into her? It's, again, two complete opposites. It's so interesting how often this happens. You know how, like, Marika and Radagon are opposites? One represents the causality of order, and one represents the regression of order. Here you have Millennia and Mikola, two complete opposites. One who decays and one who never ages. It's like Nurgle versus Tzeentch getting their fucking cosmic claws in these twins.
is actually an outer god.
Oh, it is? Okay, all right, then that's very canon.
This outer god, like many others in the game, seems to have an order that is able to be imposed upon the world via an Empyrean vessel. And
And Millennia is an Empyrean vessel. And that's why this outer god of rot was able to take hold.
Millennia was that vessel. And while the Scarlet Rot is pretty terrible, you can sort of argue that it's got a beauty to it.
Well, I mean, the same way brain tumors have a beauty to it, I guess. The same way lobotomized people aren't gonna, stir up trouble is beautiful, like I would argue. I mean, I would argue cripples aren't going to be committing bank robberies, probably. So that's kind of nice, I suppose. Sort of.
According to Gowry, the Order of Rot is resplendent. It's a cycle of death and rebirth. Kind of like the lotus
yes.
flower, which
The way of cancer. Beautiful in its own way. I especially like the way it kills bad guys.
is a flower that blooms anew, beautiful and fresh from mud. I actually have art
I mean, it is kind of beautiful, not gonna lie.
of this flower hanging in my home. I always love the
Hey!
symbol of it. I actually have lots of art hanging now, and I'm going to talk about all
This video is sponsored by Display.
of this artwork that you can buy at the end of the video. Anyway,
Alright, I can tell. I see it coming. Sponsored by Display, brother. I've gotten that sponsored too.
so Millennia the Empyrean was vulnerable to and afflicted by the Scarlet Rot. There was said to be no cure to this, and
That sucks.
while fire
That's why you're chasing down needles her whole quest line, whatever that means.
consecration seemed to be somewhat effective at
Oh, that's why they put all those fire walls and crap around Caelid, because they're trying to keep the Scarlet Rot from spreading. Okay.
warding it off. Millennia would slowly lose her physical self to the rot. Interestingly,
That
old
sucks.
legends of the Scarlet Rot
Bro, chat, why are you don't want this Rotussy, okay? Get it out of here. Chat, I don't know. No!
have persisted in the world for generations, and we learn more about the Rot God from the Blue Dancer charm. The dancer in blue represents a fairy who, in legend, bestowed a flowing sword upon a blind swordsman. Blade in hand, the swordsman sealed away an ancient god.
A blind swordsman sealed away the Rot God? What?
A god that was rot itself. Specifically, this god was long ago sealed away in the stagnant water that is downstream of the Ainsel River
In the Lake of Rot.
underground. And
So the Lake of Rot is called the Lake of Rot because that's where the Rot God was sealed by the water swordsman guy. And Caelid is a rot-infested wasteland because of the Melania fight with Radahn in the original trailer. That's why those two places specifically are so affected by the Scarlet Rot, because that's two places where the current Rot God managed to touch down on the lands between.
wherever rot appears, the kindred of rot appear as well.
Ah!
These
Hate
are
those guys.
pests
They literally shoot you with cum missiles. I hate them.
and servants of the rot.
Oh,
And
God.
now, in the current age, these are servants that have been forsaken by Melania, who
You
is
don't
their
say.
new goddess.
Right. Because Melania is the Empyrean of Rot. So ultimately, even though Melania hates the Rot and is constantly trying to cure herself to no avail of Rot and doesn't want anything to do with these pests and shit, she is still their goddess. Dude, that's crazy. And she might eventually actually just degenerate until she's completely unable to control herself at all.
So, this blind swordsman with the flowing curved sword actually went on to become Melania's mentor.
Oh.
So, technically, it's
Did this blind swordsman teach Melania the stupid waterfowl dance attack that literally cannot be dodged? Dude, this guy is actually just Gojo. He covers his eyes and he takes gods down. Oh my god.
him that we have to blame. for this
Oh
goddamn
my
attack.
god, it's literally his fault. It's all his fault. This stupid arse that didn't even show up in the game created the most annoying attack of all time.
The prosthesis wearer heirloom tells us
my
more.
God.
A talisman engraved with a scene from a heroic tale.
It's pretty heroic.
Though
I like the cake on one of these heroes. Dude, they really went hard on that.
born into the accursed rot, when the young girl encountered her mentor and his flowing blade, she gained wings of unparalleled strength. Melania's ridiculous attack is called
Gods.
the waterfowl dance, and aesthetically it makes sense that, flowing waters would counter the effects of rot.
All right, God, I feel like that's going. Yeah, I swing my sword very gracefully, and the god of rot gets expunged from the land. All right, dude. All right, dude.
For just as still waters turn foul, stagnation turns to decay. Thus,
alright.
warriors
I see
must
that.
remain
That's nice.
ever drifting.
That's a cute reference.
And indeed, Melania does resist the call of the rot. There's a lot of evidence that she's not really a willing vessel. But
Yeah, duh, she's not a willing vessel. You're chasing down needles to stop the spread. She hates it. She doesn't introduce herself as the goddess of rot. This is what I talked about, how names have power in Elden Ring. She introduces herself as Melania Blade of Mikola. That's how she regards herself. Only after you beat her and the Blade of Mikola is not enough to defeat you does she embrace herself as Melania, the goddess of rot. She hates it. She is an unwilling Imperium vessel, just the same way Mikola was going to be an unwilling Imperium to the formless mother. The one with needles is her daughter. Wait, that's her daughter? That girl that you're chasing around with the needles the whole time, that she's missing her arms and stuff? Oh my god.
through sheer will and sense of self, she resists the rot.
Dude, what a cool character. See, the virgin Elden Ring player is like, oh yeah, Ronnie's the best girl. Ronnie's the best girl. The Chad Elden Ring player knows Melania's the best girl.
And only when she is truly pressed in battle will she abandon this will and bloom into the goddess within.
I guess that's when it goes extreme, right? The same way when you beat Melania's first phase, she releases the goddess of rot. Radahn was obviously able to beat her first phase and get to that rot mode.
Melania's first bloom was during her fight against Radahn, and
shit.
releasing her scarlet rot
That's why Caelid is fucking turns into Florida.
was a last-ditch effort that would forever taint the land of Caelid and cripple Radahn. So, whatever she was fighting for in this fight against Radahn, somehow it was worth this terrible act.
God damn.
In general terms, at least, it's clear that Melania was fighting for her brother. Apart from the times where she relapses into being the goddess of rot, she is known as the Blade of Mikola. She actually goes to great lengths to tell you this. I don't know if you
Many times! I caught it when she said it, all those times!
heard. Despite being the toughest boss in From Software history, she's actually fighting for his right to godhood, not her own. In Millennia's own words, her brother
Right, she doesn't feel fit to become God, because she knows she's tainted by rot.
Miquella possesses the wisdom, the allure of a god. He is the most fearsome Empyrean of all.
Damn.
For his part,
Damn.
Miquella did a
God, the DLC is gonna be crazy!
lot to earn his sister's dedication, not the least of which was inspiring her armor and a prosthetic of unalloyed gold. And it's not just his sister that loved Miquella, many people did. The bewitching branch
I mean, Moog loved Miquella. Alright, let's move on.
is an item that you can use to turn enemies into temporary allies,
Oh, shit.
and it reads, "Indeed, he has learned very well how to compel such affection." For his father Radigan, Miquella fashioned and gifted to him a fundamentalist incantation called Triple Rings of Light. Radigan then returned the favor, gifting back an incantation called Radigan's Rings of Light.
It's so wholesome. They gave each other spells and shit. Oh my god. Father's Day, I got my dad a fucking... Let's not talk about it.
These interactions show some of Miquella's positive connections with his father and also Golden Order fundamentalism. And yet, the young Miquella abandoned fundamentalism, for it could do nothing to treat Millennia's accursed rot.
Dude, so wait, so Miquella's really kind of the ultimate good guy? Question mark. I mean, I don't know. I guess we'll see more about what his actual goal is during the DLC. But because the Golden Order wasn't able to work for everyone, obviously the Golden Order is not something that should be loved and should not be respected. So therefore, he decided to go on his own path, create his own fucking tree, his own Halleck tree and everything. Shit, dude, what a goat.
This was the beginning of unalloyed gold. So, what is unalloyed gold?
And also, the Halleck tree also has all these random people that are considered outcasts from everywhere else. It's a home to everyone, right? You get the medallion to go to the Miquella's Halleck tree from the old guy, the Albus. God, what's his name? The Albinoric guy. It's like, it's literally just a safe haven for minorities and groups that the Golden Order would want to excise from history. I wonder what his goal is. I mean, he obviously wants to create a new order, but what is that order? He's an Empyrean, so what outer god did he want to possess?
Well, an alloy is a composition of metals, so unalloyed gold is pure gold,
Makes sense.
essentially, with
Love that.
no external mixtures. This gold apparently can ward away the meddling of outer gods, and so Miquella bent a lot of
What?
his efforts towards creating an unalloyed gold needle.
Unalloyed gold stops you from getting possessed by outer gods. So that's obviously why he wanted Melania to have it. That's why Melania is wearing that, to stop the spread of the rot god.
Specifically, this needle was crafted for his sister, to ward
Hey.
off the rot god and forestall the effects of the incurable rotting sickness.
That's nice.
We see the bond between the siblings as well.
I'm just waiting for the ultimate twist. And he was doing all of this for a big sacrifice. Look at Miquella. Doesn't he look a little like Griffith on a specific angle? That's right, ladies and gentlemen. He was getting everyone to the Halleck tree for a great sacrifice so he can become an outer god himself. And be like, oh god, never mind everything I said. Bro's just Griffith again. It's always Griffith.
Well, when we visit Miquella's Halleck tree, we see a statue of a one-armed woman embracing a child.
Oh, I never noticed that. So that's Melania and Miquella. Miquella, who can't age, and the one-armed woman is Melania, whose arm was rotted.
Miquella. In this place, we see the biggest example of Miquella's benevolence, the Halleck tree,
Yeah.
and the society that was built into the brace
Yeah.
that supports it. This was a promised land, seen as a salvation to many who were shunned or persecuted,
Right? These are
provided that
the people that were considered omens, but the Golden Order hated these guys.
they can actually find the path here, of course. And like many other Empyreans, Miquella seems to have had the will within them to create a new order.
Yeah, but what is that order? That's what I'm missing.
And his is an order that's somewhat modeled on the ones that came before it. The biggest thing is that the Halleck tree is clearly inspired by the Erd tree.
Yeah.
But the difference is that Miquella's Halleck tree is said to be accepting of all.
That's the gimmick. It's accepting of everybody, except for people that can't climb ladders. Because holy shit, did they not hear of stairs in the Halleck tree? Why do you have to platform your way across this place? It's accepting of anyone except for people in wheelchairs, I guess.
Even those the Erd tree shuns. Mikola himself was once embedded inside of the Halig tree, and he watered it with his very own blood since it was a mere sapling.
That's nice.
Tragically, however, he was ripped out of this womb during the shattering, and his
It's Mogan time!
Halig tree ultimately failed to grow into an Erd tree.
I feel like we're still missing one piece of the puzzle. Every single other person managed to, all the Empyreans managed to find a way to connect to some outer god. That is order. Every order that exists is an order that is somehow controlled by an outer god, taken form by an Empyrean. Ronnie with the stars, Marika with the golden order. Freaking Moog wanted to do that with the formless mother, with the blood god, and stealing Mikola and all that. Like, they all have some way to connect to an outer god. Melania is being afflicted by the rot god. Somehow, Mikola is trying to create a new order. But what is that order? We're still missing that one piece. One piece of the puzzle is missing here.
Becoming a...
And that's probably because he doesn't have his own ending in Elden Ring yet. I'm sure that's going to be the main DLC focus. And if he becomes Griffith, I swear to God, I am not here for that, okay? I'm not gonna sit here and deal with another Griffith. If at the very end of the DLC, bro's like, all right, I'm sacrificing everyone on the Halig tree, ladies and gentlemen, we're coming Griffith. Oh my God.
Misshapen husk instead. But that's the story for another day.
I'm a misshapen husk, you just like me, for real, for real.
There's also a ton of cut content to do with Mikola, and he's one of the most mysterious demigods, who I'm sure we'll learn about more later. But there is one more thing that I want to mention before I go.
Melina?
It's kind of
Melina? Because she is the most, she's also
I had
mysterious.
during the making of this video. So, Mikola and Melania each have their own butterflies. Melania's is the Aeonian butterfly, which inhabit the swamp of Aeonia, and are rumored to come from the wings of the rot goddess herself.
Okay,
I think it's fair to say that Mikola's butterfly is the nascent butterfly, which appears as if it's just emerged from its cocoon for its entire life.
I see it. I'm here for
This
that.
is a reference
I'm here
to
for
Mikola's
that.
eternal youth and his
It's Mogan time.
cocoon in the Halig tree. But there is, of course, a third butterfly, right? There's the smoldering butterfly. It's said to be an eternally burning butterfly that serves as kindling. Now bear with me, but it's my theory that this butterfly is a reference to Melina, who the Blade of
Oh, and Melina lit herself on fire to burn down the Erd tree, didn't she?
Calling calls the kindling maiden.
Oh
and
my God. I see that. It also fits with the naming scheme, right? As we've already established, Marika's kids, Melania, Mikola, Melina would fit into the naming scheme very well.
the one who walks alongside Flame. This might suggest that Melina is a sibling to Melania and Mikola. Again, that's just a theory, but what I really want to talk about here is that, at the very least, Melina is almost certainly the daughter of Marika. We learned this a long time ago from looking at her name in the game's files, and we can further infer it from her dialogue, as she has a few lines that refer to mothers and one that says
My
that
favorite one of her lines is,
Thou art maidenless, and thou shall never have bitches.
if thy wish to touch thy...
she was born inside the Erd tree. So her being the daughter of Marika is also just a theory, but this one is much more concrete than the butterfly one. Although the reason I like the butterfly theory is that it gives us a hint as to who Melina's parents might have been.
Although, another option, now that the DLC is coming out, we know that Mesmer the Impaler is going to be another demigod. Mesmer the Impaler, big fucking scary fire guy with the spear, he could have the smoldering butterfly. That could be his very easily, too.
Parents would have been Radagon and Marika, which is to say, Marika herself alone.
If thy tarnished wish to wet thy dick, thy maiden Melina is here for everything that thy might desire. I will walk beside you, tarnished, in any way that you might need me.
I don't know, maybe I got a different dialogue in my Elden Ring copy, but dude, she was a baller character.
I guess, because Radagon is Marika. Honestly, Melina as a character has only become more mysterious since the game was released, and I'm really only scratching the surface with this theory. But speaking of times before Elden Ring was released, back then, a long time ago, I commissioned this piece from a
it is a
renowned artist
sponsor!
named Marco, and now I'm so excited to reveal it for the first time.
Nice. That's
This
beautiful.
storybook scene is heavily inspired by the early looks we had at Elden Ring.
Yeah, that is very nice. guys. Anyway, this was really sick. The Elden Ring demigods. What a fantastic group of characters. Every single one of them with their own motivations, their own struggles, and their own reason why they fell or didn't fall. Different gods that they attached to, or whether they were loyal to the order or against it. Every single one is just a fantastic character in its own right, and you can't even tell that from the actual Elden Ring game itself.
I wish to offer you an accord.
Flashes your boobs. Anyway, this has been the 100%-ish blind reaction to the Elden Ring demigods. I only know them in the sense that I've murdered most of them and dated a few of them. So this was pretty awesome. 10,000 likes for the next Elden Ring deep dive. Your boy is going to consume all lore, okay? The next month is going to be very Elden Ring full, I have a feeling, and your boy is going to consume all lore. Thank you all so much for being here. I really appreciate all of you. Have yourself most wonderful evening and stay weird, fam. If you made it to the end, click one of these 2 videos, which also will definitely get me canceled. See you live on Kink. Stay weird, fam.